I went back in time to become a medieval knight and defend my castle from a siege. It didn't go well. Using motion capture in Unreal Engine 5, I was able to transform myself into a battle-hardened knight defending the castle wall in just 4 days. If there's one thing we can all agree on, it's how awesome knights are. And I don't know about you, but I've always wondered how I would fare in a medieval battle. So I decided to animate it. It all started with this AI-generated image I saw while I was doom scrolling one day. And I thought to myself, I can do that. So I did. Every good animation needs a story behind it, and mine is no different. The concept is simple. The video starts with the audience in a first-person POV of a knight waking up on the ground, crawling towards their sword. A fellow knight comes along and picks him up from the ground. He tells them something grim, like they're all about to die or something, I don't know. All before spotting the antagonist. The friend pushes the viewer out of the way in a last-ditch effort to get him to retreat. We of course stay behind and watch our friend get cut down like butter. The story is at its darkest here. We are alone, unarmed, and facing death. That's when our fight or flight kicks in, and we rush over to grab our sword from the ground to defend ourselves. After clashing for a bit, we know what the enemy's next move will be. We just saw it. We dodge with a swift swim move and stab the enemy in the back, winning a terrifying duel. Our attention is called to the sky above, where we finally see a massive wall of flaming arrows raining down on top of us. There is no escape, and our only choice is to accept our fate as an arrow punctures our armor and sends us flying backwards, ultimately flying off the edge of the wall. But this concept requires things I don't have, a castle or real knights. But what I do have is a mocap suit, a perception neuron studio. Motion capture is a total game changer for animators who are trying to get realistic results, and it's more accessible than ever before. These days, you definitely don't need a suit to do motion capture. There's tons of AI tools out there nowadays that can turn video into motion capture data. I have a tutorial on one if you'd like to check it out. But for this project, I knew I need high-level accuracy and tracking. So I threw on my suit and acted out the motion of each character in the animation. I did my best to act out each motion with roughly the same timing, which was really hard to do. It took take after take after take, and if I was gonna stay on schedule and finish the animation in 4 days, I couldn't spend all my time on just mocap. I had to lock in. So today is mocap day, and that is the most important part of this entire video, because I have 3 main characters that I have to act out the motions of, and they all have to be in sync and perfectly timed to each other. But the problem is, I don't have anything to help me with the syncing or timing up the animations at all. I kind of just have to keep it all in my head. This is gonna be tricky. As you can see here, I got my mocap suit all laid out. I got the crash pad ready for me to die on. And then I got the mocap software pulled up here, ready to go. So now all I gotta do is just turn the suit on, connect it, and then put it on and get recording. And I almost forgot, this right here is gonna be my sword, I guess. Just some cheap lightsaber, bro. Okay, so now I'm done. All I gotta do now is go through it on the computer and then clean up the actual animations. Once when I get everything timed up in Blender, then I can clean up and fine tune like hand placements, all that stuff. Yeah, this should be interesting. If you're interested in getting your grubby little mitts on some mocap files, I've got you covered. You can download my mocap files by clicking the link down below. Soon, I'll be releasing my first ever motion capture pack, Ambient Actions, designed for background characters or NPCs. So be sure to subscribe so you don't miss the launch sale. Additionally, if you'd like to request custom motion capture animations for your projects, you can join my Patreon, link down below. After a frustrating 30-minute mocap session, I finally had what I wanted. All I had to do was export to my 3D software of choice, Unreal Engine 5. There's a lot of misconceptions about mocap out there. Anyone telling you it's like just a one-click solution for all your problems is wrong. Here's why. Cleanup. No matter what you record with mocap, you will always have to clean up the data. You can't escape it. Depending on your raw data, this can be a tedious or smooth process. Having a character with a control rig helps. Now, a character control rig in Unreal Engine 5 is a set of controls that allows you to animate and pose the characters. It simplifies animation by letting you move limbs, adjust poses, and create motion without needing an external 3D software. Think of it like each bone has its own easy to use control. This is why I chose to work in Unreal Engine 5 for this animation. I knew the cleanup process would be easier with the default Unreal Engine control rigs. I could go through the animation and easily tweak and edit the position of certain bones in a non-destructive way. While my raw animation data was decent, I still needed to do some tedious cleanup work. And I have 5 total characters I need to go through. I've got the main character, the partner, the enemy, the first victim, and some archer friend. I have my work cut out for me. So now I got all the assets figured out. All I gotta do is just throw them in Unreal and get to cleaning up all this tedious animation. I honestly hope I can get this done in time. Like this is... I've got it all roughly timed up decently well. Oh man, the wake up from the ground. This looks straight up out of like a video game, bro. Oh my gosh, it's coming together so well.
I'm gonna replace that guy's head with a metahuman head with like facial cap. Dude, it's gonna be so awesome. Oh, look at this. And then wipe the blood off, and then the kick, bro. Oh, it's gonna be so sick. Oh, go grab the sword, bro. Watch this swim move and stab. Oh, it happens so fast, but it's so sick. Oh my gosh. Freaking love my job, bro. Okay. It's 1 in the morning. I just finished cleaning up all the animations and stuff. Took like 5-ish hours, something like that, give or take. I'm gonna go to bed. I think I'm on track though.
After spending all day cleaning and tediously tweaking arms, legs, hands, and everything else, I called it good. Mostly because I was kind of going insane at that point. So I finally had the animations right where I wanted. The hardest part of this animation was done. The characters are timed and cleaned up, but this environment, gotta go. With only 2 days left to work, I didn't have the time to build every asset from scratch. So I did what I always do, kit bashing. This is for the people who want to make great 3D environments, but don't want to model everything. Kit bashing is kind of like building with Legos. You take a bunch of pieces from different things and just bash them together to make something completely new and unique. It's what they did on the original Star Wars movies. Kit bashing is kind of perfect for me because 3D modeling is terrifying. Because these assets are ready to go in Unreal, I was able to easily populate my environment. Little details go a long way, so I made sure to do as much set dressing as possible with a bunch of torches, props, and even a few dead knights and soldiers.
This is environment day. Okay, now I got a lot to do today. I gotta just build up the entire environment. Everything that the camera is gonna see has to be populated with assets and just effects and stuff like that. Kind of my favorite day though, because it's a lot of fun. It's just kit bashing, just taking a bunch of Lego pieces and putting them together. It's a ton of fun because you kind of start to see final results a little bit. So I'm gonna shut up and I'm gonna get started because I got a long day ahead of me. Let's get grinding.
Okay, so I've got my environment, but something's missing. It needs some sauce to really take it to the next level. These are the 2 easiest ways to level up your 3D environments: lighting and particle effects. For this specific scene, I knew I wanted it to be at night. So I changed the time of day and added some orange lights where the torches were to enhance the light being emitted from the flames. I also added a couple rim lights with a cooler color temperature to give the illusion of the moon backlighting the characters. It's literally what every Hollywood film does with their nighttime scenes, even if it doesn't really make sense. I don't know what it is about it, it just works. But what really gives the scene some atmosphere is particle effects. They go a long way in any scene. And I knew I wanted this environment to look like a battle-worn castle siege. So I added ground fire all over the castle walls and within the city. I then added billows of smoke and a bunch of fog cards throughout the scene, especially around the ocean. This added depth and dimension to the environment. It's one of those things that you don't really notice is there until it's not. And after a full day of throwing in assets, the environment, effects, and animation work was done. All I had left to do was hit the magic button.
Well, I think I did enough for today. I kind of got absolutely locked in and I made tremendous progress. Like, it's almost done, actually. There's only a few more things left that I really need to add. I mean, look at this. It's like actually kind of turning out amazing. One of the things I was actually really worried about was the lighting, but I mean, everything is visible here, nice, good orange and teal sort of contrast. Honestly, could not be happier with how it's looking at this stage.
But even then, I wasn't finished. If you're struggling to take your 3D environments to the finish line, try compositing. Compositing is the process of combining multiple visual elements into a single seamless image or scene. It's using VFX to blend different layers together, making them look like they were shot in the same environment.
It's a new day. I rendered overnight. The render turned out like amazing. The raw render was great, honestly. Very little like work and cleanup work that I have to do. I'm excited because it's just all that's left to do is compositing and sound design. And sound design is what really brings it alive. So I can't wait to finish that and show you guys.
Personally, I use what I call the planes method. First, particles. For this animation, I added some spark elements from Action VFX for each sword head. It just adds a little extra spice. Next, lens effects. This is what Greg Fraser calls dirtying the lens. CG renders are often beautiful and perfect. They're too clean. The real world isn't clean. So I added some dirt and grime to the lens to help with the realism. It's a subtle and cheap trick that goes a long way. All your favorite movies and games do them, especially the Battlefield franchise. Alignment and tracking is crucial if you're adding effects to a moving shot, like this one. While I could have just thrown the spark elements in and left them, they would just look like they're disconnected from the scene entirely. So I did some short 3D camera tracking to make the sparks look grounded in the world. Next, noise and grain. As I said before, 3D renders come out looking too perfect and clean. Cameras in the real world have a bit of noise and grain, so I added some to my render here. Again, one of those tiny things that you'll never notice, but your brain might miss it if it's not there. Edge refinement is the next part. Chances are you're gonna have to do some rotoscoping. I wanted my spark elements to look placed in between the two duelists like they realistically would be. This meant I had to cut out the friendly knight so that he could be layered on top of the Spark assets. Think of it like you're making a sandwich with the layers. Lastly, style and finish. This is usually my very last step in compositing. What I often like to do is a small color grade, adding contrast, boosting the saturation, and adding some sharpness. And after all that work, we finally have a finished animation with no life. The most common thing artists ignore, and it hurts their potential, is sound design.
I don't know if anybody else likes looking at sound design when it's like all put together and stuff, but I kind of love it. I think that's just, I think it's so awesome, so beautiful, and I love Fairlight for doing sound design work. Oh my gosh, it's so sick! This is why I cannot stress sound design enough. It elevates a video and a render to an entirely new level. It's a couple hours of extra work, sure. It just does so much for it. It's definitely worth it in my opinion.
Which would you rather watch? This? Or this? Sound is half the viewing experience. This isn't the 1920s anymore. Add some sound effects to your work. I get my sound effects from places like Envato Elements, Artlist, Motion Array, or from packs from Ocular Sounds or Motion Pulse. I went through the video and added sound effects for each movement of the characters. I added sword clashes, gushy gore sounds, and even some ambient medieval fighting sounds to give it a little bit more dimension. Nowadays, we live in a shorts-dominated social media landscape where some piece of viral music or sound is attached to a video. Personally, I'm a rock guy, and I've been waiting for the perfect opportunity to use the viral song Void in Blue. I thought it fit pretty well. As much as I love sound design, I knew I couldn't spend forever on it, and I had 0 days left to work on it. If I was gonna meet the deadline, I had to finish. So I locked in and speed ran the sound design. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how I went back in time to become a medieval knight. Enjoy.
Come on, get up, soldier. We are leaving. Move!
Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed, be sure to like and subscribe. It's free, and you can always change your mind later. If you'd like to support what I do, consider joining my Patreon, link down below. If you have any questions, type them up, leave them in the comments, and I'll catch you in the next one.